Hey everybody, welcome today. Today we're going to be talking to Chris Hornbrook, who is mostly known as the drummer of Poison the Well. He's also played in loads of bands, including Senses Fail. He's also a session musician and he plays with Big Black Delta, and he's also playing with Greg Puciato, on some stuff for the Black Queen as well. And yeah, he's been doing quite a bit of stuff, so he's gonna join us in a moment from I think he's in LA now rather than Florida, so he should be joining us quite shortly. Everyone seems to be having a bit of a difficulty learning how to use this thing, so we'll give him just a couple more minutes to join. I'll send him a message as well. Okay. Yes. Sorry, gang. Okay. Alrighty. So we're just waiting on him to come in now. If you do have any questions for Chris, ask that you put them down in there's a little box below with a question mark. And then it'll come straight to me, and it's easier and it won't get lost in the feed, so I can make sure that I can have that, bring that up. Okay, he's just coming now. It's amazing how hard it is to get people to figure this out. Sorry, gang. He's being fashionably late. Just gonna fix my seat. Sorry. I've just got this new setup, and I'm used to facing the other way, so now I'm facing the opposite way, and it's really uncomfortable. And yeah, trying to get it all set up. Here we go. And I'll just bring him in now. Hey,
What's going on?
your first face looked very scary.
Hey?
Yeah, you look like super angry.
This is like my normal look like all the time.
How's everything going?
Oh, I'm so exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did like a video shoot yesterday.
Mhm.
Went super late, and then I woke up this morning. I just had like a bunch of shit I had to do. I got home maybe about 2 or 3 hours ago, made dinner, and I just fucking napped for probably about 30 minutes just to get like a power nap, so I'm not just, just out of my mind.
Can you say what the photo shoot what the video was for?
I mean, you'll know in like a week.
Yeah, cool.
It's one of
Awesome.
those things. Like you'll know
Yeah.
it's coming out really, really soon. It'll be
Yeah.
super cool. The video is really awesome, and it's a really cool song. So since
Awesome.
it's not really necessarily like my thing per se,
Mhm.
I'm kind of not at liberty to say, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Are you doing session on that?
Being a friend, being in the video, let's just put it that way.
Okay.
Like a
Okay.
song I played on, it's a song I played on a while ago that a friend is releasing as a single, and he uh, he wanted to do a certain style of video, and I told him it was a cool idea, and then 2 or 3 months later, we're doing the video.
Cool. Well, it's a perfect time to do it.
There's nothing going on
Nothing at all. So
at
everyone
all.
seems
Yeah,
to be doing it.
jack
Um,
fucking jack shit right now.
yeah, exactly. Um, so yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, we've known each other for quite a while as well,
It's been a hot
going back.
minute. Yeah, we've been a hot
Yeah,
moment. Yeah.
yeah. Um, and of course, like most people, I guess, probably know you more from Poison the Well, and
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's like majority of the people who are tuning in are
Yeah.
Poison the Well fans.
Totally cool. Yeah. I mean,
Um,
this is worse things to be being known for, you
yeah, yeah,
know?
yeah, exactly. And like you've always had I mean, I've seen you play a few times, um, and I was always personally a big fan. So
Very cool, man. Thank you.
you know, so I was always like, I remember when Opposite of December actually came out,
So
and
long ago.
how so long ago, like
We're
I
old. We're
feel
old
like,
people. We're old people now.
yeah, yeah, I feel like I was a tour. I can't even recognize that human being anymore.
Same.
But at the same time, the album is like, it's still like so relevant and rings so true. Like every time I put it on, it's still
Hmm.
as good as it was when I heard it then.
That's cool. Thank you. Yeah.
So like, and
I,
I think a lot of people feel that way.
I mean, that's cool. I mean, it's hard for me to say because I was, obviously involved with it. So
Yeah,
my, my opinion is way more, skewed and subjective than the objective reality. Well, everybody else's collective subjective reality that likes the record, I guess. So,
yeah. It's harder
um,
when you're like in it, I guess.
yeah, you can never really you can never really yeah, you can never really look. Technically, you can never really look inside. You're always looking outside,
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And I was gonna say, like, and of course, like you just I think you just posted about the second album and how that's anniversary has just come up as well.
opposite.
So it's, yeah, no,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just
yeah,
yeah, opposite. It literally it was end of last year.
yeah. And then of course there's I was thinking I saw it posted online. Um, it was a follow up. So was it Tear from the Red?
Oh, Surf the Red. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That
That's
one was,
that was 2002. February. Since February 2002, so 2022 obviously is 20 years. So it's a long time.
is that insane? Like,
It,
if you
it's,
were
it's
like,
it's it's just weird. It's just weird to think about because when we stopped touring and like being a band, it was
yeah,
like, okay, well, I guess this is it. It was cool. We, like from 99 to about like 2000, 5-ish, 6-ish, things are really kind of on the up and up. And then, like anything else, it just does this and then it does that. And that's just kind of the way it
yeah,
goes. So it was just
yeah,
towards the end, it was like, all right, well, cool. We got 5 records and we feel good about them. We did a bunch of touring. And then we kind of, we went on a hiatus and everybody kind of went their separate ways. And then it just seemed like this little thing started bubbling up where I'd be
yeah,
out on tour with somebody else and it's like, oh, you were in Poison. I was like, yeah. And then they'd be like, oh, that's so cool, blah, 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 blah. And after a while, I was like, this is really weird because it's like towards the end of us touring, nobody cared.
yeah,
And then you go away and then everybody cares. And there was just a realization that it's just you're oversaturating. Not so much obviously done in Australia because nobody goes there
yeah,
because it's far. But
yeah,
here, you just tour a fuckload here in like Canada, here in Europe. If you overdo it, people just don't appreciate what they have,
yeah. They don't want to keep going each time
Yeah,
because they're
like
like,
how
oh,
it
I
is.
saw you last time.
Yeah, like how it is actually now to go outside and like go to a bar and have a good time. It's the same thing. Like we were so spoiled before, and then all this crazy shit happens, and now everybody just wants to go out and like have a social life.
Yeah.
And you can't do that.
No, it's just not a thing. But I mean, like 20 years is like, and there was like quite a few lineup changes in all that time as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But then like the steady, you've always been a steady member
It's me, Ryan, and
throughout.
Jeff for the
Yeah,
most part, and then Derek for the longest time. For the first 3 records, Derek, and then after that, our bass player Brad. Yeah, it's always been like 4 guys. It's just one guy would get out, and then there'd
get
be
out
another
and
guy
then
that comes in.
yeah.
Same thing
And it's like,
now. we played some shows, and it's just in the four of us. We just hire our friend to play guitar, and it's just easier.
Yeah, yeah, get someone to play that. I mean, you were just you were just like dudes, young dudes,
Still in high
when
school.
Opposite of December came out. Like,
Yeah.
and I remember I think the first two of you guys came out, and you were like mega young. And I
Oh
remember
yeah, I mean
seeing to Oz, that is, yeah,
that was first time the Oz's big day out in 2004.
yeah,
So 18, 18, coming up on 18 years ago. I can't even think right now.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, it's probably around 18 years ago. So that's no, more. What am I talking about? 16 years ago.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's a long time ago. I'm 39 now. So I was like 23,
yeah.
23,
Same age.
24, something like that, around that
Yeah,
age.
yeah. Because I'm 39 now too. Yeah.
Get old
Welcome
and
to
it's
the.
everybody's it's crazy. And it's funny. I actually turned 30. I was in Australia on tour, and I turned 30, and I remember how weird it was to go from like my 20s to my 30s. And I was like, I wonder, because I feel like every decade, you know, you learn some shit or you experience something. Something happens in that period of time,
Yeah,
and it's like a new thing. And then like my 20s was playing music and pursuing this thing that I cared so much about. And I was like, what's the 30s are gonna be like? Now, like I'm right on the cusp of turning 40, and
yeah.
it's very strange because my 20s and the shit that I learned from that is very very different than what I learned from my 30s. So like I'm curious to what like my 40s is gonna bring.
Yeah, yeah. Same.
The,
I'm like, it's like a next, I don't know, next dimension. Um,
oh, what's like the next group of lessons that what's the things that you've been ignoring your entire life that are finally catching up with you in your 40s?
yeah, well, they start like mid 30s, like late 30s, and then I think
Yeah,
40s is like when you're supposed to start like listening to it and
yeah,
kind of like making the changes, I guess, or whatever. Um,
yeah.
I'm getting heckled hardcore about mention the intro to Ghost Chant.
Yeah, there's a few punishers out there that like, and I mean that in the nicest way. There's a few punishers that like they like heckling me about that, which I don't know why. I mean, I get it; it's like playful, which I'm totally down for. But it's
Yeah,
been like an ongoing joke for like years now.
yeah, yeah. It's just something people want to bring back up. I mean, yeah, on Opposite of December, just like your drumming, everything on there is just so raw, fast, and
But
like very calculated, but also very like mixed. You know what I mean? That's
yeah,
what I love so much about it. It's like you
it's
can be like do do
yeah,
do do,
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's nuts and
It's a bunch
chaos.
of high testosterone. It's a bunch of high testosterone teenagers.
Yeah,
Like not
yeah.
knowing what we're doing. We're like, this will like put that there and put these two things together, and like that's cool. And like no, just like putting a bunch of shit together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and like all the good kind of, and then of course, Tear from the Red, and then You Come Before You versions, and then the total difference, I guess, like from the Tropic Rot, which I really like the Tropic Rot, but
Yes, that's my favorite record.
it was a different sound, but
Yeah,
it was like the evolution of you guys, and kind of felt like it matched the timing.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was like this is, we're not little kids anymore,
You can't
and this
keep
is
doing the
it.
same thing over and over. That's kind of like my thing. And every record's. I mean, I've worked with bands since. I haven't been in bands technically. I've been like like a hired guy.
Mhm.
But you kind of act as like a fly on the wall when a band or an artist is doing a record. And for Poison the Well, it was a very unique experience to where every record, every situation was just kind of our collective experience. Where I noticed
Yeah.
with writing with people, it's either their own unique experience, which is I can appreciate, or in some cases, not that many, but a few, where they're trying to pander to what's
I'm,
popular.
I'm not laughing at what you're saying. I'm just the comments are just punishing about ghost chants.
Oh, I see. The way I have this set up, I can't even see the comments because I have a shoe and then I have my phone in the shoe. So basically, I don't even see like it's like I see you and I just see a little bit of me.
It's yeah, yeah, cool. It's just like intro to ghost chant, the snare part over and over and
Yeah,
over again.
yeah. No, it's cool.
Yeah, we know, we've talked about it. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like Tropic Rock, I guess was like I don't know. Yeah, it was a good. I felt like it was the right evolution. And I think the last time I saw you play was on that tour.
It was it that because the last thing that yeah, it was probably we did so we did trying to think. So we did Big Day Out, we did Soundwave, and then we did a headlining tour. Headlining
Yes.
tour, I think we did in like 2008, 2009,
Yeah.
something around that time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that was the last one. It was so depressing too because we didn't have any days off, and it was just like straight through.
All the way. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know those flights are brutal. Like you start, I think we started in Perth, and then from Perth to Adelaide, it's like it's a long flight, and then you got to get in, and you go to your hotel, and you drop your bullshit off, and then they take you to the venue, and and it's just like this never-ending loop of a
Ending.
week of doing shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And sitting and waiting and
Yeah,
yeah, all
yeah.
that kind of crap.
It's always hurry. It's hurry up and wait.
Yeah, yeah. Hurry up, quick, get in the van, and then you get there, and it's like now you sit here and you wait and don't move until.
Ugh, ugh. You know, that's just kind of the way that shit goes.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, you've been like aside from like the reunions and stuff with
Hmm.
Poison the Well.
Hmm.
I know that you're playing Psycho next year. Is that
Playing
right?
what? We're playing what?
Psycho Las Vegas. Is
Oh,
that still
Psycho.
happening? Yeah,
It
yeah,
sounded like you said soccer, like the game,
yeah.
soccer.
My
It's the head
stupid,
that.
my
No,
stupid
no, no, no.
accent.
It's this, and it's the quality for the Instagram quality. Yeah, yeah. Psycho
Yeah,
Vegas.
yeah.
We were actually supposed to be playing technically next month, but everything, you know,
Been
because of
pushed.
everything just got I think they were able to actually like secure the entire lineup and just go, okay, instead of 2020, it's going to be 2021.
That's that's really cool because yeah, like I think that's the biggest problem everyone's having at the moment.
Yeah,
Is like
it's hard.
all the festivals can't maintain everyone that they had on the original thing because people
Well,
had other tours planned for their time and all that sort of stuff.
and then also too, there's radius clauses. So within a certain period of time, you can't like. I live in California, and Ryan lives in California. So when we start stuff, we like rehearse and do stuff out of here now instead of doing it out of Florida. But if we wanted to play a show here, there's a radius clause. So for some reason in 2021 we had a whole thing set up. We'd be kind of fucked right now. But fortunately, we're not. When we do stuff, it's very like sporadic. We have that. We have
That's
Furnace
kind of cool.
Fest.
I've never heard of that before. Is that just an American thing?
It is. It's more just like they used to have it way back in the day. It was just like a hardcore festival. I believe it
Hmm.
used to be a little more Christian orientated. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But as
Yep.
time has gone on, it's just kind of expanded. And now they have a little bit of everything. That was like the holy grail lineup of everything from like late 90s, early 2000s. This year, it's like us, 18 Visions, Converge, Cave In. It's just like the line of just kind of like all
Alien
the.
Vision, Alien Visions. Holy shit!
Hmm.
Who's playing? Who's playing in that though? Like, isn't there like
And
18 Visions? There's not many that are still playing, is
I
there?
I don't fully know. I saw him a few years ago.
Yeah,
I'm buddies with James, and yeah, I saw him. They played a show a few years ago, and it was cool. I don't know who's fully currently in the lineup.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I
So I
just
know obviously James is, but yeah, I don't think Trevor's in it anymore. And
yeah,
of course we had the other, I've forgotten his name now, how terrible, passed away. And then yeah, so like it's kind of James, I guess, and maybe one other.
yeah.
I
I
don't know
think
how it
maybe
works.
James and Keith. Like him and I have talked about it a little bit, but it's been more like they're re-releasing their catalog and stuff like that.
Right, yeah, cool. I actually like the cock rocky one they did.
The what? Oh, what?
The kind of cock rock album they did towards the end.
I
That
I didn't hear
that
that one.
I think most people didn't like it, but yeah, it was like the last album they did before they broke up, and it was like I don't know, it was kind of like the summer album in Australia.
That was it.
Like we used to drive to the beach and shit with it pumping.
They're
So
like, we're gonna
yeah,
go to the beach and get into trouble and like do fucking
yeah,
shit and yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It was just like a
yeah.
real pumping album. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So you've got that coming up. And
hmm
then, of course, aside from that, you're doing like session stuff. So you're working with Big Black Delta still?
Yeah, sort of. So when I moved to California, he was like the first because it's Big Black Culture's just like one dude.
Yeah.
And he just records all his shit, and then he'll like assemble a band, and then he plays like if he plays a show here or he does like a radio thing or like festivals or whatever, then he'll put together a band, and I usually play with him. But he hasn't toured since 2016. But maybe if he chooses to tour at some point, he'll hit me up.
Yeah.
But yeah, technically I still do play with him. He just doesn't tour. So,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and I know he's about to put out a new record. He's put out a few songs and they're really, really cool.
Yeah.
So that should be pretty interesting because he's like, he does like more pop synth oriented pop music, but
Yeah. Yeah.
he's super left of center. So it's like really catchy and really good, but it's also really weird, which I enjoy.
Yeah.
Like a good,
What's
like the
that?
good weird, not the weird
Yeah,
weird.
not the
The
bad.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Um,
then, so what's that like then switching from like your Poison the Well
well, it's like
style to then moving to a different.
Um, it's not super different. I mean, his music is way more simple. It's definitely
Hmm.
more simplistic. But at the end of the day, he's just like hit really hard and flip drumsticks and be animated and all that sort of stuff. And he just kind of
Yeah.
gives me autonomy to be free and kind of do what I do.
Do what you do.
So
Yeah.
it's cool. But obviously there's songs, there's basic patterns, there's certain things, and then I'll just kind of elaborate on those
Yeah.
and bring that more to like the live domain. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's cool. Yeah, I mean, if he puts out something in the future, it'd be super cool to play with him and see where it
See where it
like
goes.
where it what's the term I'm thinking of? See where it fucking lands.
Lands. Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
I haven't played with him in like 3 or 4 years. So,
Yeah. And then I was gonna say there's also um the stuff you're doing with Greg
hmm
Puciato. And
yep.
so is that Black Queen stuff you're doing? Or is
No,
it
this is
separate stuff for him?
I mean, Greg's doing like a million different things right now.
Yeah, I
It's so
can't I
he's
can't keep up with what.
so he is doing. So right now he does Kill or Be Killed with like Ben from Converge, Max Cavalera from Sepultura, and then homie from Mastodon, a bass player. I think his name's
Oh yeah,
Troy. And then he does
the
Black
singer.
Queen.
The singer?
What's his name?
Oh, the
Which,
singer is Troy.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he plays bass in that project with Greg.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Greg does Black Queen with him and Steve Ryan, our friend Asian Steve, as
I
he's
love I'm a good friend of Asian Steve.
yeah,
He's just hilarious. One
yeah,
of my
he's pretty.
favorite people. He
He's
and Bubbers.
oh Bubba's.
Bubbers. You'd know him, you definitely know. He's Troy's brother.
Oh, I haven't met him before.
Oh, he's always the tour manager of like
No,
Mastodon and all that. He's
got
always around. So
gotcha.
he's like Asian Steve is like Asian version of Bubbers. Kind of. Yeah. And
I got you. Yeah, I got
yeah,
you.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
and
so yeah, Greg does that, and then Greg is doing solo stuff. So
yeah.
probably coming up on a year ago, he hit me up and he was like, "Hey, I got some stuff. I think I want you to play on it. I think it would really work." And he just sent it to me, and we tracked drums. And then in typical Greg fashion, it took him forever to finish it, and he's slowly been releasing singles. Like I think like 3 months ago, he released the first single, which
Mm-hmm.
featured the old drummer for Dillinger Escape Plan, Chris Penny. And then
Mm-hmm.
he put out a second single, I think 2 months ago, like a month and a half, 2 months ago. And then he's about to drop something pretty soon. So that should be pretty cool. So what he's doing is he's just kind of dropping songs leading up to the release of the record.
To
And
the
since
release, yeah.
he can't play shows. So
Yeah,
because
he
he can't
may
play,
as well.
you just like do like, I mean, it's smart. It's just like, hey, I got a song. I mean, there's a bunch of songs on the record. So there's no shortage of, he literally could probably release not half the record, but he probably do like 5 months or 6 months of like releasing a song every month and still have an
Yeah.
entire record, like a normal
Yeah,
record
yeah.
full of shit. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
I'm playing with him like, well, whenever he plays shows,
Yeah.
who knows when the fuck that's gonna happen? But like,
Yeah,
I tracked the majority of the record. Chris did a song. I think Ben from Converge did a song, and then the rest it's just like programming, like like fake drums, electronic stuff.
Yeah.
So
So
that's cool.
what's that project called? The solo one?
It's just called Greg Puciato.
Oh, cool.
It's just him. It's just his.
Oh,
It's just It's just super simple. It's just his name.
Yeah, that's easy. That's an easy one. Because
Yeah.
like
So
I feel like everyone's got side projects. At
well,
the moment, it's hard to figure out what's what.
well,
So
he's
if you
really
just
funny.
say name.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because we're living in a world like I feel like when I got into music, there's like a bunch of small bands that like were cool or nobody cared about, or were cool and nobody cared about, and then there was like huge bands, right? But
Mhm.
because of like the internet and like direct to consumer and like how we've sort of changed as a society as how we consume music, you don't
Mhm.
have to be huge. You could just make really cool stuff and
Yeah.
get like a little bit of a fan base of sorts. Like you do something cool and people like it. Could direct to consumer. I mean, recording music now is insanely easy versus what it was like when I started
Yeah.
recording. You had to pay, studio, an engineer. Like Pro Tools was still in its infancy stage. Like it was just hard. Whereas like now, if I wanted to, I could just buy a few preamps and a good recording program, a few good mics, and like go record a record, and it would sound better than something that I made 20 years ago. So
Yeah,
because of
yeah.
all these things, you can build a small fan base. You can make all your music on your own, and you
And
can record.
you can sell it on your own and like all that stuff now too.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's
like
like
it's just direct to people. Just like right now, it's like we're having a conversation. You're in Australia. I'm in the U.S. It's like this wouldn't have been possible. This with this level of clarity.
yeah,
What even like 5 years ago would have been like, it would have been like pixelated and
yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah.
maybe it costs
Very.
like $500 because whatever, it's just expensive.
Yeah, yeah. To have some kind of crazy setup and like all that kind of jazz.
Yeah.
Yeah, whereas now it's just like it's become like the norm. And I think like during this whole COVID thing, everyone's been either like working on new albums, practicing, doing collabs, and
Hmm.
like preparing stuff or recording for when they are allowed to tour
Yeah, I
eventually.
mean, there's nothing else you can do. Like
Mm.
we can't play shows. Like California started reopening, like bars reopened, and then they like closed everything because there's like a spike in cases. I think they're trying to reclose Florida and Texas because there's like a resurge, like the cases are going back up.
Yeah, they're doing it in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Everyone went nuts because you know Melbourne's the like music
Yeah, it's
sort
like the
of
music
town.
city of Australia.
Yeah, so everyone went nuts as soon as,
Hmm.
soon as we got
Yeah.
a slight restriction open,
Hmm.
and everyone went nuts, and then there was like bang, huge spikes. So now we're like back a bit and
Hmm.
restrictions and some stuff's been moved, and now we have like local lockdown. So if you
Hmm.
live in this suburb, you can't go out of your suburb now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so now we've got specific suburbs that are like all of these suburbs are naughty.
That's super
And
nuts.
like and you'll get fines now. It's crazy. They were announcing yesterday if you try to cross the border into other states, you'll get a fine and you'll be like put in jail and like yeah,
Like
like it's full.
going from like East Germany to West Germany, like
Yeah,
shit like
yeah,
that. It's like
yeah.
it's nuts. That would
It's like
never fly here. That would never
oh
fly in America.
no.
That's insane. That's insane that they like try to do that in Australia. And like, are people listening?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, they are. The thing is, people like in terms of the state stuff, people are listening. Like in terms of not going into state. So like
mm,
Queensland opened its borders and was like, no, Victoria, you cannot come in.
it's
And
nuts.
and all the other states are the same. They're like, when we open, there's no Victoria. You guys are
Wow.
stuffed. Like because we have like, I mean, and it's funny because a guy on Twitter from America commented on an article that was like, every day they post like our stats for every state or
Hmm.
whatever, and they posted the Victoria ones, and it's like, overnight 73 new cases. And the
Hmm.
guy's like, oh, we've got like 30,000, blah, blah, blah. Like,
Like a competition.
yeah. And he was kind of like, that's nothing. Like, who
Yeah.
cares? And I was like, And that's why you have 30 something cases, because you don't care. Like,
Yeah.
and like, because we had like, we were down to like, all, you know, almost nothing. And now, yeah, because of the spike, we're back up. So it's just like, they're like doing full on, what do you call it? Like, hard intervention.
Well, I'm curious, like, because that's a big thing. Like, there's a big spike in cases, but I'm really curious, like, the ratio of death to to the like to actual reported cases happening versus deaths, right?
Yeah, our deaths
So
I think is still quite low, but the yeah, like they'll say this is how many people have been tested and this is positive, and then
yeah,
overnight this is how many, and this is how many are in ICU and hospital, and this is how many have died, and it's, we're really low like in terms of anywhere else, but like,
that's why
you
people aren't
know,
paying attention, though. That's why people are like freaking out because they're like, okay, there's all these cases, but like it's such a low death rate, and you're shutting down society. People are like after a certain point, people sign on and they're like, cool, I'm down for the cause. And then
yeah,
when you're in
yeah,
month 3 or 4 and like you haven't like went out and you can't be social or anything, and you're like
yeah,
looking at that disparity, and you're like, I want to go to fucking the bar and have a beer with my friends, you know, or like I want to do this. Like I understand both sides of the coin. It's just like I just feel like the governments need to kind of do a better job. I don't think they're doing that good of a job with managing this at all.
yeah. Well, it's like they've done what have they? They've sort of said basically. I think they're thinking about making masks mandatory, like, because the problem here is that, like, as soon as that first restriction lifted, everyone went woo and
Hmm.
stopped wearing masks and stopped doing social distancing and stuff.
Sure.
And that's where all the like the spikes sort of came, but they kind of came from families, funnily enough,
That's what I
rather
heard.
than, it's like because Ramadan was just on, and also
Hmm.
like there's like security guards who were working at the hotels where the quarantine people are, and
Hmm.
they were like hanging out with the people,
Yeah.
and they got it, and then they were going home, and they were like Sudanese, and like traditionally Sudanese people eat with their hands, and
Gotcha. Yeah.
they live in like high capacity housing, so you know
Hmm.
they'd have 10 people at a time in a home, and
Yeah.
then they're eating with their hands, so like everyone in the house gets it, and then they hang out with their other friends, they all get it. So most of
Yeah.
it was actually family. We only had like, I think there was 3 cases from a Black Lives Matter
Hmm.
protest, and that was it.
Yeah.
The rest, it's just mostly been families that have caused it, more so than the people
Yeah.
like wanting to have a beer and
Hmm.
you know, whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like, you know, it's weird. I'm like, if they just like made it mandatory and had like a door, like every shop had a thing on it just saying like no mask, no entry, people
Hmm.
just do it.
That's how
And
it is here.
then
That's how it is
yeah,
here in the U.S. And this is fine. Yeah, you're gonna be in close proximity with people in a store. Just throw a mask on, go get your shit, leave.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
if
like
you as you're in your parking lot, you pull it off. You just make sure you're not close to somebody. You get your car, you're by yourself. You don't need to wear a mask in your car.
yeah,
You
exactly,
know,
yeah,
it's like you're
yeah,
fine. You come home. I live by myself pretty much, so it's like I don't
yeah.
walk around with a mask in my house. You know.
Yeah, no, no, no. Yeah, it's the same. Like I just put it on when I go in, like to get like go into like a doctor's or something, or like in a what do you call it? When I go buy groceries and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because it's like I'm just like, because so many people, yeah, a lot of people here are just not doing it.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest issue we've got. But it's just a bummer because the longer it goes on, the longer it means like we can't have gigs, like local gigs at
Yeah.
least.
Well,
Like,
it's a bummer because it's like I feel like there has to be some cooperation between the people that are susceptible and the people that aren't susceptible, right? So if you're susceptible, if you have something that you will, like my dad's a smoker, he probably
mm,
shouldn't go out, you know, or if you're of a certain age, don't go out. Like I feel like those people need to make sure that they isolate themselves. And then yeah,
yeah,
people like you and I that can go out and like we're fine and we get it. Yeah, it'd probably suck for 2 weeks, or we wouldn't feel anything at all, or however, because it seems to affect people differently.
yeah,
Yeah, you just go out, you just throw on a mask if you're around people. If you're not around people, don't have a mask on. Like, you know, just like if both sides were cooperating more, but I feel like that's not happening because inherently humans are really selfish. So
yeah,
we're just kind of like, I'm fine, I don't care, or my family and I are fine, we don't care. So it's like,
yeah,
it's not necessarily working in our best interest to keep cases down, which obviously, because the people making the laws are essentially in the age bracket that they would die.
Anyway.
They're just they're just like shitting on everybody's party. Pretty much. That's pretty much just like.
They're all like old white guys. I was looking at it the other day, like especially in America, it's just like old, super old white guys who, it's like I just hope Trump gets it and gets really sick and just drops dead. That would be great.
I mean, the likeliness of that happening, it's not impossible necessarily, but like I bet you would have, unfortunately, like people in those positions, those higher positions of power, I'm sure they have shit. I'm sure they're all inoculated, and they're just not talking about it.
Oh, 100%. 100%. It's like he was like his driver, and then his receptionist or something, personal assistant, like had it, and like all that stuff. And he was like, and it's like, how come you don't have it yet? That's weird.
Oh, he's totally inoculated. The Senate's inoculated. The Congress, if there is something, if there are measures like whatever we do have, or if there's early stages of drug tests that won't kill you,
they've probably got it.
Oh yeah, that's just it's the way it goes when anybody in those high positions that run the country, but still like they're still shutting everything down, which I understand both sides. So there's a side that like they don't want to die, but also too you have to think like the ego of the human being. It's like they don't want people dying on their watch, so they'll shit on everybody's party until they're out.
Yeah, and then they'll be like, okay, not my problem.
Yeah, exactly. Anymore. I honestly don't feel like I honestly don't feel like, I'm trying to find the words for this. I honestly don't feel like they're doing this because they care about you or me. They care about themselves. That's essentially. And we just so happen to be the like indirect, beneficiaries of, them not wanting people to die
on their watch. And be like held accountable. It's like, yesterday when they announced that like the EU borders aren't going to let Americans in. It's like,
wait, for Australia?
No, for you guys.
Wait, what happened? I missed that. What happened?
Okay, so Europe has said when they open, they're going to ban all Americans from being able to go because your numbers are just like 30,000 or whatever is just too much. That's ridiculous.
It's going to be weird. It's going to be weird until we can get like a vaccine of sorts. It's going to be super weird with traveling and stuff. Like my place that I live, my friend owns it, and he lives in Denmark. I think he can come, but I don't know if he can come. And then if he goes back, because he's an Italian national, but he lives in Denmark. If he goes back, then like, will they let him back? If he came.
I think they let him back, but he has to go into 14 days quarantine.
How many days?
14.
Oh, 14 days.
Yeah.
But you also got to think, then if he comes here, he has to be in 14 days. So
yes, exactly.
Literally a month by yourself, even before you can enjoy coming to California or going back home to somewhere in Europe, Australia, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like nobody's going to go anywhere. Like it's crazy too, because I have family in Canada, and the family member is kind of sick right now. And I've been talking with my dad, and we're both like basically a month even before we could see them. And then with my dad traveling, because he's a smoker, he runs the risk of getting it.
Catching. Yeah, because I saw that like the airplanes and stuff of like don't have social, like they've opened up now over there without social distancing. And like
they're trying to make as much money as possible, but airlines don't give a shit about that at all. And if they did, it's like a flimsy fucking piece of plastic between you, and then suddenly you don't have an armrest, some bullshit like that,
Because you're already like fucking like this.
Yeah, it's already like this, pretty much,
So then let's just sandwich you in with some shitty plastic as well.
Well, this is also another weird thing too. Is like I think the airlines stock-wise they're doing fine because obviously the government came and bailed them out.
And bailed them, yeah. See, it's not that way here. We haven't bailed out ours. Like
you haven't bailed out yours.
No.
See, that's kind of the way it should be. It's just America's such a pay-to-play place You know what I mean? Like
basically, everyone at Virgin lost their job.
Whoa.
They just closed Virgin down, so they're not flying at all. And then I think Qantas is the same. And then like one of the huge like supermarket chains offered everyone who wanted one a job at like in a supermarket, like because they felt bad. So they were like, we will take on anyone from Virgin. Like if you're willing to take a job doing something that's not your job, like but we will give you a job because it was just like we're shutting down, and there's no government bailouts at all for the airplanes. So
America. That's the way it goes here. Yeah, they're just kind of like, hey, we're too big, we need money, and they're like, cool.
Yeah, like I mean, I guess when domestic starts like moving again, but like they don't reckon we'll have like international travel until next year.
Easily next year.
Yeah.
Easily. If I were to make a guess, end of 2021, 2022 is when it'll start. Like the gears will start turning a little bit. Like, you know, somebody will be like, hey, I'm going to fly to go to UK, and everybody's gonna be like, holy shit, you know, like you can actually go there now. That stuff,
that?
You know, you could do that now. Like, oh fuck, you know, like it's once they're like, hey, we have a vaccine, then everybody's gonna fucking, you know, throw up their shit and everything's be cool. And here in America, it's gonna cost like $1 million, so everybody's just gonna die. Just kidding, no one's gonna die. But no, once that happens, I hope
it's free for you guys, because that's bullshit if it's not. Because I mean,
they're gonna have to subsidize it. They will for sure subsidize it, because right now they're doing stimulus programs, or offering loans, or offering grants for people that are unemployment. There's like an extra boost per week so that people don't, because the government's basically like, hey, don't go to work, or if you own a business, don't do the thing that makes you money with your business. So it's like, okay, if you're going to ask everybody to do that because you guys didn't plan, then
you need to give.
You gotta help us. I'm not like a big like government help me type person, but it's like, okay, let's like once again like boils back down to like cooperation. Like I will totally cooperate with you. We gotta cooperate together so that like I'll walk around with my mask on in the grocery store. I won't go to the bar. I'll stand 6 feet apart. But you have to help me because I can't tour now.
Exactly.
So
it's like you need to actually help everyone be able to do this shit. Like, because I was like surprised to hear that like some of the COVID testing over there is not 100% free.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Some places have it and some don't, or something. I was reading.
I think the private places have it. Like that's the one that's not free if you have like if you're in an area and it's not inundated, but you so happen to get it or you think you have it. I'm pretty sure you can go see a private physician. I'm not quite sure about that.
Yeah.
And then like where I'm at in California, if I think I had it, I'm pretty sure I can make an appointment with someone either in like LA County or Orange County.
Yeah.
And go through like a drive-through, and they like
that's what we've got. We've got we just got drive-throughs at like all these like big like where you have shopping centers and shopping malls.
Yeah.
And they're free. So you just drive through.
Pretty sure those are free for us too. But as it becomes like less and less a thing, like if cases go down and they like get closer to a vaccine, it's gonna kind of go away. Like those drive-through places are just gonna like not exist.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go to the like hospital or something, I guess.
If I got it, I would just stay home. Like if I had it and I like checked the symptoms, like, oh fuck, I have all the things, I would just be like, all right, I'm just not leaving my house for 2 weeks. I'm just gonna stay here. I'll like order groceries. I'll do all the steps, and I'll just like wait it out, because like I don't smoke. I'm not unhealthy. Like I'm pretty sure I'd get through it. But yeah, I probably wouldn't go anywhere. I probably wouldn't leave and go anywhere.
Yeah. That's like the thing. And I mean, it's pretty easy to identify the symptoms anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
your lungs just start sucking pretty much.
Yeah, it's like your lungs, and you get like sore throat and like shortness of breath.
Yeah.
So if you get a cold and you don't have either of those, then it's just a cold.
Yeah.
Because like I remember my doctor being like, everyone needs to chill the fuck out, because he was getting like so many people coming in, like just regular flu, because it's winter here, and so people are coming in being like, is it COVID?
You'll know.
Is it COVID?
Yeah,
And
you'll know. Like,
you know it is, like if you
it'll
get
be like a
it,
weird lung thing. It'll either be like really, really minor or like really fucking extreme. You know, and then you'll have it.
I reckon for me, like, because I've not been going out, but like just doing the basic things in the mask and shit. But like, I've got like asthma and like I have some respiratory shit, so I'll know immediately. Like,
Yeah.
So it's like I'm doing all the good things because I'm like, I could probably end up in hospital for a month.
That, or it could seriously fuck up your lungs in the long term.
Yeah, well, I've heard like apparently only now that if you've had COVID, I was reading it yesterday, loads of people who've, had COVID and gotten better have now found all these other problems. So
what are the issues?
Like, so like they've got like health, say they've got like a health condition already, and since COVID, like they had it and now it's gone, it's like it's worsened, or they've got like other things and then they've worsened, like, so it's caused like sort of immunio effects on different people, not everyone, but like on some people, like
we're all different.
Like afterwards, like a month after they've recovered, they've started to notice that like, oh, my asthma is like fucking next level now, or whatever their issue is. So yeah, it's pretty nuts. But we'll see.
This seems to be like the crazy disease that like kills one person and another person it doesn't do anything to. It's pretty nuts. Yeah. The degree in which like it's like you get the flu, you have the flu, you get a cold, you have the cold. Okay, fine, like I'm just lay in bed for a few days and drink water. But with this, it's just like I think like Idris Elba got it, and he like there's like nothing wrong with him. He's just like, oh yeah. And then some other person gets it and they're like on the fucking ground just dying. And it's like it's just kind of nuts how like it's just like
it's just whatever is in your body, like you have no idea until you get it.
Yeah. Well, there's all the crazy conspiracies theories.
The 5G.
No. The 5G's nuts. I actually had a lady talk to me about that in the beginning. Yeah. I went to like Walgreens, which is like a pharmacy type place.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys have in Australia that would be the equivalent, but it's like going there to like.
We have some similar. We have like this yours. Just a chemist,
It's like the chemist, but you could also buy deodorant and you also buy ice cream. It's like a grocery store mixed.
Yeah, we don't have that at all.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like that whole thing. I know, like in the UK, it's like
CVS.
Exactly what it is.
So we don't have that. We just have the farm. You can't buy ice cream or chips or whatever the hell else you want from there.
Yeah, we're not gonna give you medication and then like give you garbage. That's like
you can go to that fridge and get a frozen pizza and some string cheese and then like whatever. That's what I found funny about CVS, and then like a massive bag of like crisps. Yeah, and then get your prescription and off you pop.
Yeah, that's kind of how this place is, right? Anyways, I was grabbing like I was grabbing a snack. And a lady was like, and this is the beginning when everybody was just like freaked out.
Yeah.
And that's been a big thing for me that I don't like that's going on. It's like, cool, okay, like I get it. Nobody wants to get sick. But also too, it's like it's planting another virus in people to like look at your fellow man or fellow woman as if they're like the other. And socially that isn't healthy either. So in the beginning everybody's being really weird, but this lady came up to me and she was very nice, and she had kind of had that like cult religious vibe going on.
Oh yeah.
So I was polite, I was nice, but I was very like, just like, all right, cool, like, rad. I'm gonna take my thing and I'm gonna go. And then she started going off into the 5G thing, and I didn't really fully know what she was talking about. But later, going down like a YouTube wormhole, I understood what the 5G thing was. But no, this is different. This was that they think that in Wuhan, China, that there is like a bioweapons lab, and they think that something happened and it like escaped. Who knows? I mean,
Could
it.
be.
I mean, because they say that I think it's like they think that it came from bats, but I was watching. I forget
Hey,
who.
come on now. Why are they always blaming bats for everything? Come on.
Poor bats.
Anti-golf.
Just yeah, a little bit. Oh, it's something. Oh, it's the way things jump. Like they keep talking about how it jumped from bats to humans, and usually when it jumps, and I'm not a
Yeah, yeah.
biologist or whomever deals with that, but when it jumps, it fails a bunch of times. So they were like, the idea was that I kind of got was that like it's unlikely that it jumped because it would have it would have taken a long time for it to actually jump from a bat to a person and actually successfully make the jump.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the whole theory now, and I completely butchered that. That's like the lay person's
Yeah, yeah.
way of saying it. And I might have got it wrong, but you got the gist. It
Yeah.
just doesn't do that. It's like it's a little bit more difficult. So what they think was that because there's a facility and like let's not kid ourselves. Maybe not in Australia, but like in America, especially China, like they make crazy shit. I wouldn't even be surprised if there was like half
Well,
pig,
that was
half
yeah.
pig, half human, like weird crazy shit that you think in a movie and you're like, oh shit, they're really doing that in real life. That's fucking nuts, you know?
Yeah. Well, the majority of our cases, like, because we were like kind of the last to catch anything,
Mm-hmm.
and because we're so away from everyone, but
Yeah.
like all of our initial cases, they all came from China and like
Makes sense.
Thailand and stuff. So it was like people coming back from work trips or like summer holidays in Thailand or Vietnam, blah blah blah. And that's when it started here. And then a ship from like came in that was touring like Europe with people from all over the world came into our dock and they all had it.
And
that's
people
how
from
it
Italy and
started.
shit like that, like where it was like the worst for such a long time.
Yeah, so that's how it like started. So it's like, yeah, like who knows how long it would have taken like to, like get it. But yeah, I'm like, poor bats, just leave them the fuck alone. It was like, someone dropped a petri dish somewhere. You know what I mean?
Who knows? Like that's the thing. It's like who knows? Like I'm sure at some point, I'm sure they know. I'm sure governments know what the fuck is up, but they're like, don't tell people that. Like let's keep them in the dark.
Yeah, it could have been a biological fucking warfare thing. You just have no idea because they would never tell us that.
China does want to dominate the world,
and
they don't care about their citizens at all. They're like, oh, we got 1 billion of you, and like it's all about like government is like the god of that country. So I'd imagine like what happened to the 80 or 100,000 people that died, or how many people that had the cases of COVID in China? I bet you like fucking police just showed up and like, you're coming with us, and they just disappeared.
Yeah,
it's nuts. It's super nuts. It's super
into
nuts.
the void.
Yeah, super nuts. Super like China's super fucking nuts, and they basically just want to dominate everybody. So I could see them just being like, okay, we're just gonna like, cool, we're just gonna drop that in the world and see what happens.
Yeah.
Like, what if you get it? Like, we don't care about our people.
Yeah, we don't care. We just want to make sure. Yeah, and they're so overpopulated.
Billion, like how many? Like 1 billion something. Insane amount of people. Insane.
And they like live on top of each other, like literally.
Yeah.
Like
it's nuts.
And nuts. Their apartments can be. I remember working with someone from China, and his actual apartment was probably the size of a large bedroom.
Wow. That's like some New York City shit right there.
And it's all in like together, like all like mixed. And he was really tall, and he had to sleep with his feet out the window because it was the only way his bed would fit in the room. and he was no shit. He was like second in charge at where he worked.
Yeah, I've heard. It's nuts. It's countries that are communist. Like I think in Cuba, if you're a doctor, that doesn't matter because that's state run. Yeah. But if you're a door person at like a hotel, that's like a high status symbol. because
Yeah,
I guess
yeah,
you just make more money for whatever reason.
yeah.
It's
It's
not.
really,
It's like
really.
it's so backwards from what we think. Like you're like a doctor. Like I should be making a fuck ton of money, but like it's just crazy. Yeah, it's just obviously the difference between like a full capitalist system and a full communist system. They're just so
Mhm.
like so widely like different in like everything.
Oh yeah, and yeah, their work ethic is different. Like they work
Everything.
pretty much 7 days a week.
Yeah. I was so when the whole COVID thing happened, like I went on like a rabbit hole on HBO and I watched Chernobyl. Have you seen that at all? You
Yes,
had that.
yeah, 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 yeah,
You, did you remember the part where the guys went in? They're like, okay, you're gonna go under, and you're gonna, I think it's like release the water so that like when the chromium, I think it's chromium, the lava, cesium and plutonium and all that shit, like so it doesn't fuck the groundwater.
yeah, yeah.
So they talked about like how that happened, and then whatever they go in, and then they go do it, and I think they were bonused like 400 rubles, and I was like, how much is that in dollars? It was like nothing.
Yeah,
It was
or
like nothing. It was literally fucking nothing. Like because I remember I was like, oh, I was like, is that even anything? Like that sounds like it's not. It sounds like it's nothing. And
yeah,
I remember
yeah,
put it in and like Google it. Immediately came up like a bunch of people that didn't know the translation of their currency to
yeah,
rubles
yeah.
were just kind of like, what is that? I'm sure people like, I mean, America, I was like, holy shit, that's nuts. But imagine people in like Great Britain that look that up, or like people in the Middle East that like have oil money.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
here's a quarter to go risk your life, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Did
It's,
you
it's
hear that? Did you hear that the Russians are making Chernobyl?
the
They're
what?
they're the Russians are remaking that show.
Oh, I'm sure it's gonna suck. It's gonna be
Because
they're
they,
not gonna suck. It's just gonna be more like their version of history.
yeah,
Versus like
they,
we're kind of telling it from like it got told from because okay, so that show was based on a book called Voices of Chernobyl, and
yeah,
I think it was from a Ukrainian or a Russian that wrote it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Russia's never acknowledged all the
The
shit that
stuff that was
caused.
in there, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So Russia's like, no, we disagree. We disagree with this and this and this. So we're remaking it. I'm like, well, no one's gonna watch it but Russians. So
no, nobody. I mean, I feel like people in Russia, maybe like the hardcore, like I don't want to say Russian because obviously the Soviet was a bunch of different republics, but
yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm sure people know, especially people in Ukraine. Like I have a friend of mine that actually immigrated to the U.S.
Yeah.
because of Chernobyl. He was living in Kiev, and when that shit happened, so a lot obviously in the thing they showed how the winds moved that dust like north from like northern Ukraine to like Belarus. But
Hmm.
what they didn't talk about what was happening too is the following weekend I believe was like a Labor Day for like Ukraine, and the winds, some of the winds from Chernobyl actually blew as people were out. So my friend, he didn't go into detail about that, but he was saying he was there, and about 2 weeks after Chernobyl happened, he started getting a nosebleed. He was like a little
Mm.
kid, and his mom's like, "Yo, we're getting the fuck out of here." So I think they did like a refugee sort of whatever, however you go from like the Soviet to America and like
Yeah. I
immigrated
think there
to.
was there was a huge immigration because there was also people like actual Chernobyl victims who have the mutations and stuff that
It's
moved.
nuts. Yeah, it's nuts. But yeah, he moved to Philadelphia, and he told me about that, and I was just like, that's fucking crazy because he's a really smart dude. So we just kind of say that's like how he got his like powers.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like
yeah,
like
yeah.
like full on like X-Men like radio mutation and
He got
shit.
all
But
this radiation just went.
it's dude,
Yeah, yeah.
that whole thing is crazy because you could actually go and take tours of
Why
like you
would
can.
you? It's so fucked.
Well, no,
So
they give you
they
like a
think,
thing. Yeah, they give
yeah.
you a thing so you could like walk. Like I could be right here and be like, okay, we're totally cool. And then there's certain places like the basement of the hospital that all the firemen went to. So they took all their fucking fire gear off and they threw it in the basement, and it hasn't left. It's been there for like whatever 30 some odd years. If you go on YouTube, if you're interested, there's a few places that are some of the most deadly places on earth, and the hospital's basement is one. Like if you go in there with
Jesus.
it, like it just you put it up to like a boot or like a fire coat, and like thing just goes. all the way up.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
still radioactive, and there was like
Active.
a crane fucking thing that was like lifting up